guys, it's Teddy GT here again. Haven't been making a lot of videos lately, sorry about that, but I have actually been rather busy. Today basically I'm going to be showing you guys a couple of ways to properly clean your Xbox 360 controller. Now haven't quite made an introductory video, but one thing about me is I'm an intense Xbox fan. I like PlayStation as well, but definitely prefer my Xbox. I'll get right into it. This is actually the fourth or fifth time I've tried recording this, but I seem to go over my time limit. So I've done a couple of things, like I've taken the screws out already. One quick thing I will tell you though is because this is the wireless controller, I need to use a T8 Torx security proof screwdriver. I got mine from eBay for $3, so they're not expensive and they're not hard to find, but I'm too lazy to go to a hardware store. I'll get right into it. Like I said, I've already taken the screws out, but behind the battery pack is a hidden 7th screw behind a barcode. You obviously can see the other 6, so just remember that. As soon as you take the sticker off though, you will void your warranty. I will get right into it. Now, one way quickly is you can just get a paper towel, some rubbing alcohol, and cover the top, and make sure you get all the sort of grit out of the small spaces, etc., on your bumpers and triggers. Then have a toothpick on the grooves, maybe a cotton bud under the joysticks, and that should do the job aesthetically. But sometimes you get things like the buttons are sticking or they stop working full stop, and one reason for that is that the inside of the controller is simply not clean. So taking all the screws out, just hold the bottom firmly and pull the top up. That's the motherboard on the inside. Now there are different kinds. This is mine. You just pull the motherboard out. You don't have to unscrew anything else after that. Joysticks come straight off. Now these are the rubber pads that connect the buttons to the circuit board. So take those off as well, and then we'll take out the buttons. Now the guide button comes in 2 pieces, and you need both of those. You cannot lose any part of this controller, otherwise it won't work, basically. Now, the ABXY buttons, as well as the guide button, the start and back buttons, they all only fit a certain way into your controller, so you can't put it together wrong, basically. Like the X button, if I put that in one way, it won't sit in properly. Basically, you just keep turning until it drops in, and the grooves on, say, another button aren't the same, so you wouldn't be able to, you can't put them in the wrong spot. So you won't screw that up putting it back together. Take off the bumpers and the bottom piece, the bracket for where the headphones and keypad plug in. Basically, grab a cotton bud. And you can dip it in rubbing alcohol, but make sure it's all completely evaporated before putting your controller back together, because any moisture in the circuit board can kill it. So that's the last thing we want. So basically, get a cotton bud, go all around the edges here. Now I'm pulling apart my friend's controller, and he's never cleaned it. This is filthy. He's gone on the outside a few times, but he hasn't actually opened it up. So yeah, go around the edges here. Also go in the spaces. Missed the back button and guide and start button, but I'm not gonna. There you go. Alright, yeah, clean all the spaces on the inside as well, because like I said before, buttons can stick. So if you clean out the insides and then clean out the buttons as well, you will, fingers crossed, it'll work for you, because that's generally the problem. It just gets gunky and sticky. Now the D-pad doesn't actually come off. You can unscrew it with a small Phillips head screwdriver, but not only is it rare that people really use the D-pad, but it doesn't get quite that filthy, so I've never taken them off. But yeah, the new D-pads, the switchable D-pads between cross and X, they pull apart differently, I'd wager. I've never actually pulled one of those apart yet, so I'm not sure how to pull those apart, but this one you just need a Phillips head screwdriver. Okay, getting onto the other side, just do the same thing with a cotton bud, just go all the way around the edges. Also clean in the gaps where the triggers go, where your battery set sits. Basically anywhere that has that is somehow leads to outside, say like the grooves, the part where the triggers sit, where the battery part sits, that all gunk can get all in that, so you want to make sure you clean that out. Also, would be a good idea, I don't recommend using rubbing alcohol, but just get a cotton tip and clear any dirt or fluff that might be in there. Get a toothpick and run it on the inside of the LT and RT. At the same time, you can get a cotton tip and you can get a cotton tip and clean out the sides. Like I've noticed when you've got the trigger on the outside of the controller, there's always that bit of dirt that you can't quite get even with a toothpick. Well, taking the controller apart, you can clean it properly. Alright, let me just check, see how we are for time. Alright, about halfway. I'll show you how to put it together now. But yeah, sorry this has been so abridged, but like I said, every other time I've done this I've been sort of screwed for time. Alright, so keeping all the buttons together, I'm going to quickly rush and put this all together. Now the start and back button, they're identical, but they sit a certain way that even if you put them in, even if you put the back button in the start section and the start button in the back section, it'll look identical when you bring it up because they are exactly the same. So that doesn't matter if you get those mixed up. Alright, now the thumbsticks apply the same way as the buttons. You can only fit them on a certain way. Click them in, make sure they're in properly. Now you can take the rumble motors off, you just need to pull it out of its connection point, but there's no need for it for what we're doing. Also, with the joysticks, you get dead skin and dirt underneath the joysticks. It's also grinding on the white of the controller, so get a cotton bud or a toothpick and clean that out as well. Again, you can use rubbing alcohol, but it's not really needed. Unless, you've had your controller for 3 years and haven't cleaned it, then I recommend a hazmat suit, but, Okay. Clipping all these on is easy. They all only fit a certain way. So it's impossible to screw it up. Now these pads, make sure you don't lose or break these, otherwise your controller won't work. And I think I mentioned this before, but pulling this apart will void your warranty. So if you pull this apart and find that it doesn't work, Microsoft won't fix it and won't replace it. You'll just have to buy a new one. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't bother pulling apart their controllers unless they know what they're doing, but don't know until you try. Alright, now whacking the back on is easy. Putting the motherboard on, just line up the joysticks with the holes, push it down. It should clip straight into place, it's snug. And then fit the rumble packs back in. They've got like a sort of fitted bracket that they sit in. There's really no way you can screw this up. Shut the enclosing down, making sure you get the battery springs inside it, and then should just clip back into place. And then screw it all back in, whack the battery pack on, and you've got a clean controller. Now, this is actually my friend's controller, and he hasn't cleaned it ever, so it's filthy as hell. But I'll have to pull it apart and clean it properly later. This is my controller, and I've actually pulled it apart and put some of the parts of a black controller of a friend of mine's in this one, and I've given her the pieces for the white controller. No real reason, just it's more aesthetically pleasing. It looks nice. But everything I've shown you with the wireless controller works fine for the wired as well. Everything's the same. Pulling it apart's almost identical. Just a few differences on the motherboard, that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. Rate, sub, comment. Want to know what you think. If there's anything I missed, let me know. And yeah, that's everything. Thanks for watching.